Hi, y'all. I recently had my locks upgraded. This isn't just any lock, though. It's a high security lock. What I happen to have here is a Medeco. I looked at a lot of different brands. I liked the Schlage Primus XP. I was a particular fan of the ASA Series 7000. Those are two I would have both really liked. And not just the Schlage Primus, but the Schlage Primus XP and the ASA Series 7000, very specific series from ASA. But the locksmiths in my area, and yes, you do need a locksmith to get a high security lock like this. The locksmiths in my area don't tend to carry those. This is the brand they carry. And I figured that this was better than nothing. And why might you like a high security lock? Most people will tout their resistance to picking. And yes, that's a great thing that you can't pick them easily. But if you go watch The Lock Picking Lawyer, you can find a dedicated picker can pick most anything. But there's still plenty of benefits that that these high security locks carry that others don't. And frankly, you're much more likely to find a criminal who has a cordless power drill than who's trained in lockpicking. And this, even though it's not as fine-tuned in the pinning schemes of those other locks I mentioned, it does have a lot of those features that prevent it from easily being drilled or pried or bumped, the more common things. One of the big things is there's ball bearings all in this housing. And those ball bearings, if a drill were to enter here and penetrate the housing, it'd hit the ball bearing and then the ball bearing would just spin and it couldn't be drilled any further. The steel components are hardened steel. I'll go ahead and do this. The bolt here is hardened steel. You know, a lot of criminals might just say, "Oh, I'll just take a Sawzall and cut that." And with most locks, you can just cut that with a Sawzall. Not very slowly either. You could look like a workman repairing the front of the house, and you're actually a criminal breaking in. So that's hardened steel. Another thing that's a common target is actually the strike plate. If you have a weaker strike plate that's just a plate with short screws, apologize for the neighbors doing work, but with the door open, we're not going to be able to avoid hearing that. This plate could easily come off just with force, pushing the lock. This strike plate, on the other hand, is a box strike plate. If you see that the bolt actually sits down into a piece of the strike plate that's recessed back in there. So the bolt isn't just going to peel the strike plate off because the box part of it sits back in the frame. Right, we'll go ahead and close this to get away from that cutting sound. See, my daughter left her finger paints out there. Oh, that's a nice click. So without showing too much of the key, one thing I will show is, and getting this into focus might be difficult, is Medeco keys have their cuts are not made straight into the key. They're made at an angle. And what that does is, as the key enters, not only do the pins sit down into the notches of the cuts, they also rotate. So the pin comes down and it rotates, and it has to be at that specific rotation for the pin to sit at the right height in the tumbler. A lot of other features that some high security locks have, some others don't. Sidebars, a lot of them will have mushroom pins. I mentioned the Lock Picking Lawyer earlier. Go watch his channel. He's a great resource if you want to learn about locks. But if you want to keep your family and your home secure. I highly recommend this. It's not cheap. It's not a $15 Home Depot lock. These run about $300 a deadbolt. But in the grand scheme of things, y'all have seen some of the things I have in my house. I have rifles. I have that nice new Walther PDP. These are things I've invested money in. Obviously, there's lots of other things I've invested money in, as well as the house. I've put a lot of money into the house, and I don't want the house to be damaged. And I can't put a value on the lives of my family. I think it's less likely that a criminal breaking in would want to harm us than to damage our house and steal things, though. But doing all the risk analyses, you'd find that it's cheap insurance. And even if you look at saying that this is still pickable, it's not drillable. And it's certainly, with that hardened bolt in that strike plate, you're not going to be able to kick this door open. You're more likely to kick my whole wall off than to kick this door open. So go look at high security locks. Talk to the locksmiths in your area. Different areas, the locksmiths are going to tend to carry different products. So don't get too hung up on a particular brand. Obviously, if you can get that ASA Series 7000 or the Schlage Primus XP, those are the two particular ones that really, really stood out to me. And if you can get those, I think those would be great choices, though. A Medeco made after 2013 is going to be a great choice as well. Obviously, some of the earlier Medicos weren't as good, and you'll find that on the internet, that there are some people that really bash Medeco. But mostly you'll find that those articles were all written pre-2013. And I think what happened around 2013 was Medeco got purchased by ASSA ABLOY. And ASSA and ABLOY are two of the more prominent high security locks out there. People also like Multi-Lock. It's a bit different of a type of key. It's really like two locks in one cylinder. And I didn't want something that was going to appear to my wife as too different than what she's used to. Also, the reason I didn't get something like the Boley lock. The Boley lock really is cool. It's practically unpickable. Maybe it's not as strong a lock as some of these other high security locks, but if you're looking into something that's unpickable, I highly suggest you go with the Boley, or at least look into the Boley. That being said, the Boley is one that convincing your other family members, and maybe I have my wife, my in-laws, my mother, all have keys to the house. If I had to teach all of them how to use the Boley lock, they'd probably get frustrated at me. So talk to the locksmiths in your area and get some high security locks. It's the least you can do to protect your home, your well-being, your family, your property. You've invested in the things you have. Save those investments. So I'd like to say thank you. Go hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications, get in the comments, do all the internet video things that we ask you to do on these internet videos. And I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you very much. Bye.